What is up, crawler fans, RC enthusiasts, and social media surfers? I'm your boy Josh with MOFO RC, and today we're here to talk about the Viper. Check him out! Check out the shorty, dude! So the cab only comes with your roof, sides, 5mm spacers for your transmission, and it comes with these awesome little parts that are way more than you can even imagine. So these are your shock mounts. I have light buckets built in, as you can see right here. It also holds the battery in the front. The battery sits on top of it. And it also works awesome when you start to go heavier and you need support on this axle. It works awesome as a band holder here. Just absolutely freaking perfect. So that's your 4-in-1 front shock mount, PO style. And that's going to come with your cab with the 5mm spacers, roof, and their sides. Okie dokie, so that's it. Next thing I'm going to talk about is the new transmission skid. We had to raise it up. We needed some space, especially as we started to get to the bigger ones. We had links moving around. We have brushless motors in places that you're not supposed to be. And so that's what she said. I don't know why she would say that. It's really weird. But that's what she told me. But so that's where they are. Anyways, we had to raise them up to get clearance on our front shocks, different things like that. If you do experience a little bit of rubbing on your brushless motor and some of the different mounts, grind the top of your shock down or your link or whatever, it should work. I have it in a crazy spot, so if you use a normal mount, it probably would be no problem. But because I'm using it in stock position, we had to do some crazy things. And it turned into a freaking super duper rad skid, the best one that I have made yet. So this is the wide version, and it just has the 5mm spacers already built in. Same thing. As I said, the cab only comes with the 5mm spacers, but that is a cool place to add color. You can get the 5mm spacers and your front shock mounts with the cool light buckets. Let's talk about those next. The light buckets, there's two different styles. One that has a hole in the bottom or the inside. There'd be no hole or no screw exposed. It would stick out. So you could put that from the inside out, or you could put that like I have it from the outside in, and it's actually mounted right here at the back, facing down and backwards. But you could put them on the outside, and then the other style is like you see here on the front. It could have a screw from the inside or outside, but hung down like this should take a lot of abuse. The screw is taking all the impact. So the screw goes, I don't know if I think it's a 10mm screw. So we got way up in here. It's not going to be, it should take a lot of abuse. So it's just a tiny little part. It's printed, sideways this way. So it should take quite a lot of abuse. I just stuck it in there, put a little drop of CA, and it's good to go, dude. Next thing you can do to add color would be your 7mm hubs. These are just ones that I printed. They work freaking awesome. They don't work with the super duper long pins. I just use a pair of snips to cut them down if you have long ones. But the stock pins, they work perfect. So other place to pick up cool color would be your hubs. Obviously you'd have to have the wheels, but just places that you can pick up cool color. This is our brushless mount. That's it, dude. Use your stock motor plate. You drill a hole or you move your hole a little bit. You just have to move the hole a little bit. This is just a spacer. You could do the same thing with your brass link balls already. So this is nothing. It's just, it's just a cheap little part. It's something, I have to charge for it, but it's really nothing. It's just a little spacer to be able to run the brushless motor in the most lightest weight possible mount there is. So it's just freaking crazy, and it's low as possible you could be. I had to raise the transmission because it was so freaking low. So these are the other part. You don't need them on anything but the steering link, but there's another cool place, another cool piece to pick up color. I use them for my shock bands in the back. Also using this as a spacer for your screw at the end. As you suck it in, it's going to help to take off tension off that joint and help us to last longer. You could even glue it in place and it would help it to even be stronger. I will be including these with the steering link. We have an awesome new steering link. Let's talk about the steering link. All right, so this is our awesome new steering link. The steering link has studs. As you can see here, this is just held in by the stud. You can pull it off. But the studs just press into place here on the steering link and then into the knuckle. and it's just giving a huge surface area to be able to transfer the energy. So instead of all of the energy on that 1.4 millimeter screw, elongating the holes and end up stripping it out, now all of the pressure is on the plastic. The plastic transfers to the plastic. It is a direct, super tight fit. Once you have it screwed together, you could even put a super tiny drop of glue in there and keep it, and it would be stuck. I hate sloppy steering. I hate any chatter in the front end, and this is going to give the best possible solution in plastic, or maybe period, that you could have. It moves really well. It's just freaking awesome. I'm super duper stoked on it. So if you didn't use it with the steering link, I don't know why you wouldn't want to use it with the steering link. You could use a metal steering link. You would just need to put the like these shock spacers from the Endura kits, probably a 1.5 in there, and just cap that off, and then put your steering link on top. So that's how that would be, and that's how I would run it if I was going to use an aluminum or brass steering link. So, but here's my steering link. It's high clearance. It's made to be able to wrap around everything when you have over 50 degrees of steering, which is what all this stuff is for. These are the Nux skids. All right, so I'm leaving this deal on here. It was originally made for the receiver when I had the Bach S-Cook, which I'm not bringing out. It's a little too crazy. Maybe in the future, but this was a freaking awesome place to put a 1/2 ounce of tungsten. It fits perfect. Put a little glue in there, dude, and you got a 1/2 ounce. So you would have your brass knuckle, and this you would probably need no more weight. It's a lot of weight. So but these are great if you want to still run your brass knuckles. These are available if you're going for a sleek and ultralight feel, where we get only weighted from the wheels. We can build these things with absolutely no brass, no aluminum, no nothing, just plastic. So that's what these Nux are for. They're even sleeker and streamlined, and they freaking look awesome, I think, in my opinion. So in black here, they're tucked away, and you don't even notice them. But in here, you can see they're nice and sleek. They slide over. If you wanted to, you could hit with your file and just kind of round everything off and make them smooth. Also, when you coat this with CA glue and sand that down, they'll be super slick, super hard. You just have to, if you did put glue on them, you just have to worry about the spacing for your bearings and making sure if you do put CA glue on it. So, but that's the same thing for all the parts. If you want it to look shiny, if you want it to last longer and just have an awesome feel, it just slides on the rocks amazing. This is just stock, but when you coat it with CA glue and then sand it down, you can then spray it with lacquer, and it just slides on the rocks. It has such a freaking awesome feel. I will do one and show one for you guys. I've been wanting to do this. I just had to get all this done before I start playing around and doing cool stuff. So but these kits are freaking awesome, dude. All right, but that's your Nux skids and your Nux Texoma style Po Nux. Next up, to go with our steering link, I made this freaking cool little Stinger grill. I think it looks awesome, dude. I think it looks really cool. Again, if you coated this with CA, you can get it to look super clean. Make these nice and thin and just sexy. Prints a little bit rough, takes a little bit of cleanup. Again, it's not a have-to part, but it just glues right on. It's just a cap, just like that. One of those win some, lose some parts. You lose like, I don't know, 1.5 millimeters of clearance, down here, which again, you could round that off even more, but you lose just a tiny little bit of clearance for maybe a little bit of look, aesthetic, but it does help and stop the steering link from getting caught up, so maybe it helps, maybe it doesn't. It is about the lowest of an upgrade on the table, not really a required part, but I do think that it looks cool. You can also cut out the center and run it more like a bull ring. Depending on the servo mount you use, the servo that you use, it may hit and whatever and cause too much. You can heat it up and bend it around. You can remove material, or you can do this, or you can not run it at all. So there you go. There's that. I have not yet put one on with the BOA, but it should work just on here with no problem. It looks like right here we're going to have a little bit of clearance issues a little bit, but you should be able to heat it up, bend it out just a little bit, and should have no issues. I'd put it on here when this was running a solo riser or the solo mount, and whatever, I ended up just cutting it off. But you could easily, file this down and make it look clean, so you have a second color on there, just like the cap part. I think that could kind of look cool, or you could just file it all the way down so that it was back to new, back to the the green plastic. If you didn't like it, you put it on there. It was just annoying or it broke or whatever. It's not the end of the day. You can definitely clean it up and it will still look rad. I did not do that yet. All right, so we have all new freaking diff skids, bro. You can get the diff skids and the nut skids in a pack, 25 bucks. All right, we had an old purple one on there. Don't know how I got in there. Might as well shut it off. So this was the old one that I was using. It had a lot of holes at one point at the STK. I dropped it down to just the single hole, but then I sleeked it up. I made it look a whole lot better. I think this looks freaking rad. We lost a bunch of plastic. This thing prints super duper good. Stoked with it. Next, servo mounts. We did keep the STK SOA riser. This is what you will need for your rear steer. If you did want to run rear steer, it is a direct swap out for your rear riser. You just put it in there. It is a little bit higher, but you know what, dude? Where else are you going to freaking put it, dude? You got a servo in there. So it's a little bit higher. You might have to move your upper links a little bit. If we play with that and it changes the link geometry too much, you know, I can make longer ones. I do already have, you know, upper links that are 2 millimeters longer if we need them. So, you know, it's not even, I don't even have to draw them. I just got to press print, dog. So there we go. Anyway, so that's your SOA riser. You could run it on the front if you want. This was on the front of the STK short buggy and whatever. This is running on the front of the STK SOA buggy. I will be bringing out all the links from the old STK, but I'm going to focus on this, and we can do this and start with this, and then everything can be, you know, added with the upper links. If this is good, you know, as I bring this back out and I'll bring stuff out, you know, I can do battles and whatever. This was just complicated, you know, and it just, you know, it just lacks a lot of room. It's a very, very cool feel. It does a lot of really neat things, but it's also very technical to drive. It's just a headache to work for some people. For me, it's a blast. I love this thing. I love the STK. I love Elite. All these things, great. But these new rigs are so freaking easy. Look, I mean, like, if you wanted a short one, if you wanted it in this next length, it's the same thing. Like, it has the same feel. It does the same things. You know, this one is, you know, a little bit more lacking, but it feels so sporty. You've seen it run around. You know, now you can just pull the trigger, it'll run around. It's so freaking fun. Be great for like bouncing. You know, it's just so stable, depending on how you weight it, or whatever. You know, definitely you put a brushless motor, it's going to crawl freaking awesome. You know, so these guys, you know, this is running a micro on the brushless mount. You know, just, man, these things are so simple. I will show you how to build all this stuff. It is not hard to build. You know, stay tuned, bro. And I feel like I have it, you know, this stuff is at a price that I can make money, you know, so it's not like dirt cheap, you know, potentially. But dude, nobody has this stuff. Nobody makes it look like this. Nobody makes it work like this. And it's worth something, dude. My time is worth something, and I've done something I feel like that we can share, bro, that I can share with you, bro. Like, I feel like this is something that, you know, if we can get it going, maybe I can get prices down even lower. I don't know, but we got to be able to keep up with what we can do first, and we'll worry about those type of things later. So I appreciate everybody for being here and supporting. Hey, we got to talk about servos. Let's get back to it. So anyways, that's a SOA riser. Next, we have the BOA mount. This is all new. This thing is beefy, chunky, BOA wide. Why is it so wide? Well, I got tired of the tiny little, you know, the tiny little batteries browning out and whatever. You were limited to a very small size and whatever. So I just moved it over. You know, this is for a bigger rig. You're planning on to, you know, widen it out. And so that's what this is for. You can run massive batteries as if like you didn't see this already. I had it on here. I showed it on the channel. But, you know, this is a massive, massive battery. And we can fit no problem, dude. So, you know, it doesn't have to be that big, but, you know, you can run a huge battery and run for 30 minutes, you know, freaking rad. Super cool. Also, on this, we have plenty of clearance for any of the servos. On the STK and Elite, some of the bigger servos from MOFO, the Black Label and whatever, was hitting this. There wasn't quite enough space. We fixed all that. We got tons of space for anything you want to mount up. And the reason why this thing is such a chunk is because I didn't want any flex, you know, so this is a chunk of freaking plastic. Last servo mount up here is the SOA. It's just a servo mount. I think this thing is freaking rad. Nick from MOFO has the BSME, best servo mount ever. Well, I'm claiming that this is the BSME-P. It's the best servo mount ever in plastic, right? So check it out. if you can see here, this transition. All right, so if you can see here, there's a different amount of space here on this servo than there is on this servo. This is the servo that I run. Every servo that I run is like this. The black label from MOFO, the purple from AGF RC, the reefs, the NSDRC, they're all the same. They have the same spacing. However, I've been recommending this servo. It's freaking awesome. It's the Hobby Plus servo. It's super cheap, works awesome on a small tire, small weight rig. If you go up in weight and up in tire size, they'll break, whatever, it's no good. You know, but if you keep the tires small, keep the weight down, they should last and be all that you need. Pretty freaking rad, actually. So, but because those are different, I was like, man, how do you do that? I just like to modify stuff. I modded, no problem. But you know, I was like, man, how do you do that so that it's easy? So I made these spacers. They actually print in place. And if you were going to use this servo or something like this that has a bigger spacing, or even maybe you just wanted to tuck it back, all you have to do to modify the servo mount is just to break it off. And there it goes. And you just clean this up. Freaking rad. Uh-oh. Don't do that. So let that be a lesson. So if you're going to cut this off, you definitely want to cut it off at the bottom and then the top. I just cut through it. That's no problem. If you have anything like that on this plastic, a drop of CA glue fixes that for good. Not a problem, dude. CA glue is your friend. You can use it for all kinds of things. I've used it for mounting my electronics, for fixing all this plastic. You can keep it, again, you can coat your stuff and it will be way tougher, way slicker on the rocks. It will feel amazing. As you can see, I did go a little too fast and I did chop this thing up. But again, that's no problem. We don't need that right there. That's how I would fix that, you know. There you go, dude. Now I don't even need to glue that piece. It's gone. But yeah, as you see, I went a little too fast. I broke that. It's certainly not going to be an issue. Again, that's how I would fix it. I would just use my knife and clean this up. So that's just to show off this little servo mount. I know I just hacked it up, going too fast. But you know what, dude? That's okay. And again, it's not going to be a problem. You could just, again, you just use knife just real quick. Just clean this up. And make it look pretty, dude. There it is. Got a little chunk right here that's not the same. Dude, you put the servo on, nobody's ever going to see it anyways. But there you go there. Freaking A, bro. Even chopped up. You could remove more with cereal. All right, here we go. Before we get to the links, this is our rear shock mount. It comes in this assembly. This is how it will come to you. There is a little spot here that has to be cleaned out. Goes onto the back of the roof, just like this. It will be sold with the roof and the mount as well, so a replacement roof, so you could, you know, if you need to replace it or whatever, it's just simple. You can add color, do whatever you want to do. But from there, the little L here glues in. It fits, has a nice positive feel, glues in place, and these pieces, you use a screw to line it up and put a drop of glue, and that's the assembled piece. Very, very simple. All right, last but not least, we have our link set, the Po-Link set. Po-Links. Not police, Po-Links. All right, we have 52 millimeter crook fronts. On these short, large, and extra large, we have these same fronts. They are for missing our ginormous tires and having enough clearance when we turn. Pretty freaking cool. It also helps to get around. To go to double XL, we use the 59 millimeter crook fronts that are leading arms. They have a hole here for your shock to inboard your shocks and move them off the front shock mount. You can use the 59 millimeter links with any of the rear ends, and it will work with the same 3-link. The 3-link comes with all that you see here in this cool little parts tree. Surely you can dial in your upper front end. So we have a 0, +2, and +4 millimeter extension on our 3-link in the front. You can test size with a screw, but I would ultimately glue this in place once you know the size. I did put the screw hole in there so that you could screw it in place, give it a test, you know, mount it up without too much trouble. And then if that is the correct size, the correct length, the correct clock on your axle, go ahead and put a drop of glue on it. You can leave or remove the screw, it doesn't matter. I said that I could not beat a 3-link. Well, the stock 3-link, well, I beat the crap out of it. This thing is freaking rad. It pivots awesome. It just tames the front end. It has no play, no slop, just freaking awesome. And the fact that you can run your transmission forward or backward, that's what the two pieces are for, and that's why it comes that way, so you can run your transmission forward or backward, not have to worry about which one you need or whatever. When you're ordering, just go ahead and order it. You get both of them, and you can run it the way that you want it. So that's the front ends. Next, we have our rear ends. We have short, long, and extra long. The short is the same as an axial JLU or C10 rear end. The long is the same as the Gladiator rear end, and the extra long or another 16 millimeters over the Gladiator. So they're nobodies. I just made it up. That's how much longer they are. I don't know why it's 16 millimeters, but it is. All three sets get the axle slider. They're a little bit different style because the link is different shape. All three sets of rear links come with axle sliders as shown here. When we reposition the rear links up to the shock mount, it ends up leaving a catch. And so I normally would cut this off on the axle, but even still, there's a transition up onto the axle. And so by adding in these little skids, it just helps the rear end to transition up and over. So that's for your rear lowers. All three rear ends get the freaking coolest little crook rear ends, crook uppers. I'm not going to say the lengths right now, it'd be crazy. All three get very cool, different crook uppers, but the long and extra long get really cool anti-sway bars, if you want to say that. It's not totally an anti-sway bar, but it does keep the rear end composed. I liked it so much on the long one, especially because the shape of the link. We had a lot of slop play here going side to side. By tying the links together, it just really composed this rear end. It did limit our flex a little bit, but you know what? It feels so freaking good. I think that we could use a little bit less. It would turn like at 90, bro. It's just freaking crazy. Too much for actual driving purposes, so if you did want it, if you do want a lot of flex, do not put this on. I'm not saying that you should directly put this on, because you basically have one test. You get to put it on there, you get to drive it without, you get to drive it on there with glue, and if you don't like it, you can cut it off. You can separate it or whatever, so that's pretty much it. You definitely could clean the link up and whatever, so it looks pretty again without it, or again, like on the bumper, you could probably just cut it here, and then just shape it in, and it would just be like a little cool little color blob on the for top of your link or whatever. So they're pretty cool. They do clip in place, but they will not stay there. They slide a little bit. So, but they do have a positive feel where they go and stop. To go right here, just to show again, it just clips and slides up and pushes forward into place, a little drop of glue, and it just makes the rear end feel so much better. So it's just nice and tightens up the rear end, and just helps us, it feels composed. One thing that I noted, it felt like it rotated a lot better, like it rotated flatter. It didn't want to feel like it wanted to push and roll, especially as you started to go up. So anyways, so many tuning things, so many features, but there's their parts, dude. That's it. That's everything that we've done. It's all available. The kits are available. Check out parts kits, so you can start from a cab, and then buy parts. You can buy color, whatever like that. The one thing on the shock mounts, if you wanted to add color with this part, you have to do it for the first time because these are glue-on parts. There is a single hole here for a screw that does align it up. So this would line up on this hole just like this, but you'd run the screw through, make sure that the holes on the outside lined up, and put a drop of CA glue, and it's not going to go anywhere. You take the screw out. So these are leave-on pieces. They're one-time uses. So if you did want to add color on that piece, you have to buy it ahead of time. But on the transmission, I normally would glue these pieces in place, but you do not have to glue them. You just have to use long screws. So I think that was the only thing that I really forgot to mention. I'm sure there was plenty of things that I didn't talk about very well or whatever. If you stay tuned, tips and tricks, we'll be talking about the different parts, and we'll be getting stuff installed and showing everything. But I just wanted to show all these parts and talk about them for one time that you can see them. We will be going through the Etsy shop very soon and talking about all of that.